everybody, how's it going? Welcome into the stream. Make time. How's it going? Hope everybody's good. We're gonna some dragons tonight. We got the resin dragon that we need to prime. I've been doing some work on the other dragon. You can kind of see back here. He's got some color, and also been continuing working on the Mandalorian helmet for G-Bev, and the one for his girlfriend is over there, very, very shiny. The one for Cat got its first coat of silver paint, so I'm gonna like buff that, and then it'll be ready for probably, well, I'm debating whether to sand it and then do graphite powder and then get into the final paint on that one. So I'm a little curious on that one. Let me go take this agenda off because we're not doing the $50 dono for hot sauce tonight, or should we? Should we? I don't think anybody's hanging out tonight anyway, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see whether anybody notices. Nah, we'll take it off, just in case. Because knowing you all, you're going to come through. And anyway, hope everybody's good. Yeah, I'm just going to switch cameras and we'll airbrush a little bit. Feel free to say hi and chat as we go. I need to fix something on this other I need to fix something on the other display here. So I'll be off camera for a sec, but I'm still kind of here. Cool. So yeah, I'm just gonna airbrush. Feel free to say hi. I'm gonna switch the mic and stuff like that, and we'll go over to this mode. Hopefully, y'all can still hear me. Okay, looks like it. And we'll go over to this scene over here, and we'll be good to go. All right. So yeah, feel free to say hi and chat as we go. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be doing my thing over here. We got the base coat of green on there. So as a reminder of what we're aiming for. Hey, Dumpster. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing good. All right, so tonight we are painting. We'll probably get the base coat on this dragon. That one's already painted. That one's done. We're primarily going to be working on the gray dragon tonight. And we're painting this one to look like this. And so what I've got so far is I've got the red on the head, so that, you know, is the base for the fire. I've got the yellow for the belly, and I put a kind of a mottled green down the sides so that we can start getting into like kind of this gold yellow up into this cyan kind of color. Let me scooch down over here. So I put a green base on right now, and then we'll get in with kind of the bright yellow up against the belly here, and then we'll get in and we'll do like some of the darker shadow and shading and stuff, and then we'll go up into this dark cyan color up near the top. But the ridge here, all the way back on that gray dragon, is going to be that bright fire red, all the way down to the tail. And then the tail, I decided we're also going to do kind of that fire as well. So I've done the base all the way from head to tail on the dragon. And then for the wings, let's see. So for the wings, I started with kind of a base coat of black on the wings, and I wanted to do kind of a burgundy, but our wings are more leather. And so I kind of came up with this for the wing. So the wing is a very dark color. You can see it kind of fades out into that burgundy. And then we've got, again, just kind of that base green ready to go, and we'll be hitting that with more of that lime sort of color. And then where the wing, you can kind of see the texture of the wing here, like getting into this kind of stuff. That's where I'm thinking we might get into more of the lighter colors and stuff like that kind of as we go. So a little bit of work to do on the wings, and then we'll kind of switch gears. So we got this one to paint, and then we've got the resin one that we're going to paint. And the resin dragon is this one. Hi, puppy. What are you doing? Right here, wanted to come say hi to everybody. So we've got the we've got the resin version of this. It's in a much darker gray, but we are going to paint that to look like this. This is what I'm going to aim for, at least. So you're not going to see very much of the chest of the dragon, because the chest of the dragon is facing the building. So if we come back over here and look at that, I'm actually going to drag that tab over to here. So we've got the dragon, but because the dragon is facing the building, you're not going to see this kind of coloring on the front. So I'm going to do this on the back. So we need to prime this with kind of a dark black, kind of a dark gray, kind of a charcoal kind of color is what we're going to aim for here. And then, did we print those myself? Yes, I did, Jamie. So yeah, I've printed the dragons, printed this dragon. Let's see, this dragon head trophy here is, that one's actually finished and ready to go. And that's right here. So this was done in a blue filament, and then I painted kind of a bone color on the horns. But I did it in a really light coat, so you can still see some of the blue kind of shine through on the horns, and then the base is not adhered on right now, but it does come with a wall mount. So this will actually mount up on a wall. And whoever wins this, you can talk to me about whether you want me to adhere that on there, or if you've got your own kind of adhesive that you would prefer to use. The only thing is you're going to have to make sure that the adhesive actually stays on, because if this falls off, the horns will probably crack, but then you can just glue them back on. It'll look a little more taxidermied if you do that. But for the resin print, we've got the base of the building, and then the dragon kind of wraps around that base. Now the building itself, I'm probably going to do the shingles in like a dark burgundy or like kind of a slate blue color. And then the dragon wraps around like this-ish. It kind of comes up this way, I think. I need to figure out exactly how this guy like wraps around the building, but it's going to be, you know, something along, actually, no, he's down more like this, isn't he? So it's got to go up that way. That looks more like it. So a little bit like that. And so again, we're gonna do the shingles of the building, but otherwise we're gonna leave the building dark. I will prime this though. The other thing is the base didn't print. It actually failed, and in the process of trying to do some other resin prints, the LCD screen on my resin printer failed. So this one may not be ready to go by the end of the month. We're still going to give it away, but it may not ship right away in August when we do the whole giveaway thing. But this one's going to get a base coat of like a dark charcoal kind of color, because again, I want to paint this one up to look like this. Oops. So we're going to do kind of the fire gradient on the webbing of the wings, and then I want to do kind of that fire stripe down the back. So the horns will be kind of that dark fire color, and then it'll kind of like gradiate out into the charcoal from there. The eyes are going to be pretty tiny on this thing to get in, but I do have some new brushes that I could get in. I could do the eyes, and I do kind of want to like do like kind of a flame smoke on the eyes. The horns on this, I'll probably keep whatever that charcoal dark color is. I'm probably not going to do too much on the horns, but we'll bring some of that color of the dragon like kind of all around the spikes, but it'll kind of fade down as it gets closer to the tip of the tail. But this is basically the color scheme that I'm going to do on this dragon. And then the other big dragon that we've got, like I said, we're doing this great dragon, but we're doing it more in these colors. So let me drag that over to here. And so I've been kind of working through what that's going to look like for tonight. So I've got the base coat on the head of the dragon, for the red at least. I'm going to do a band of kind of a gold copper thing, and then do the snout in black, both top and bottom of the mouth. And I'm going to do kind of that copper sort of color like right here on the snout. If we zoom in here, there we go. You can see that it goes from kind of that fire around the eyes, it gets really, really dark, and then there's kind of like gold around the snout. Now, obviously, this picture is not a dragon; it's a cockatrice, but we're kind of modeling this based on that. So, so imagine, you know, the dragon. We're probably going to do the tongue in some kind of similar, like mottled black pink sort of thing. But we're going to carry the fire down the chin. We'll probably do the chin, like the tip of the chin, in that black, similar to the beak up at the top of the snout here. And then the horns that come off the back here, we're going to do all the horns in black. We're going to do the talons in black. And so on the base, again, just base colors going here. I know it looks a little bit more like very, very green, but once we get in and start working through the cyan and the yellow and stuff to get into where the chest is on there. So the chest is done. It's a very mottled sort of color all the way around front and back, all the way up, and so it's already textured and ready to go. So we're gonna go with a really bright yellow, but we're gonna let the green kind of shine through a little bit on that. And then as we get closer to like the fire that we're going to be bringing all the way down here, so this is going to hit highlights of orange and then highlights of yellow on top of that to make this look like fire all the way down the tail, all the way up the tip of the tail. And then the tail we're also going to do in fire as well. So the tail we've got kind of front and back with that same scheme, and we're just going to do that up like fire as well. And then the talons here, I've kind of left alone so far, but I do need to get in here a little bit with some paint on a brush, because I could only get in certain areas with the airbrush last night. And then we're going to do the talons in kind of that dark black as well. And then I'm trying to figure out what else to do with the base. Right now it's kind of a deep mud brown kind of color. I don't think I'm going to be as creative as, you know, kind of the whole, you know, grass and stuff like that. But this did start on kind of a mud base with a little bit of grass. I'm probably not going to get as creative as this on this base, though. I think the highlight is going to be just the dragon with the color. And I think I'll leave the base kind of that muddy brown right now. If I've got time at the end of the month, then we'll get in on that. Now, this dragon has all these extra spikes on the leg. And so those extra spikes, I'm going to do similar to this on the wing, where it's kind of this dark cyan color up in here. So this dark cyan color is kind of the same color as the top of the body. And I'm going to be doing all these spikes on the leg in that color. And then on the tip of the wing, the tip of these wings has that same sort of thumb knuckle kind of looking thing that this dragon does, or this cockatrice does. So I'm gonna use the same sort of dark cyan color on that nub as well. So made some good progress painting this up. We got the dark burgundy going into the faint black, and then we'll be coming in with some striping. They've obviously got a lot of striping on the wing here. I'll probably come in and do some of that based on the texture of the wing. Like this side of it, you can see a lot more of that texture, and I'll probably come through and just do some really light, you know, strokes of something. But we've got that base green on here that we can kind of hit with that lime yellow, and then we'll do the knuckle and the cyan, and then yeah, we're gonna have some fun painting this up. So this thing is enormous. It's huge, and then the wings just kind of snap in like that. So just making sure that this is all nicely blended as well, because we're going to have a lot of that dark cyan on the body. I'm going to have to bring some of that cyan up the wing a tiny bit before we blend into that lime green. But the same spikes that we have on the leg, we've got these same spikes here. Sorry, wrong camera view. The same spikes that we have on the leg here, we've got the same spikes on the wing itself. And so we're going to do all of these in that dark cyan along with this nub up here on the top. So it's gonna be a pretty big size model once it's all done. So get on the giveaway for the day. Depending on how many people show up in chat, we'll you know, I usually aim for around like an hour and a half into the stream to do the giveaway. You're gaining giveaway points just by hanging out in chat. So you see all those instructions up here. If you do !register, it'll give you a form that you can fill out, and that's just giving me your name and your address ahead of time. I do wipe all of that data out of my database at the end of the month. I don't keep any of that data. And then you'll be able to check out how many points you get and all that kind of stuff kind of as we go through. So let's see what else. Prime Day, I got a new camera. So we're gonna hook up the Logitech probably for this camera, and I'm gonna put this one over with the airbrush, because this one I can zoom in a little bit more, so you'll be able to see more detail of when I'm doing painting. And this will be my new primary camera. And then for the regular microphone, because I've got the Shure microphone, which is wired in over USB, and I've got the Rode Wireless Go 2. So what I picked up is the new Rodecaster Duo, and this has the same wireless receiver that this needs that's currently plugged into my computer, but now I can run all of the audio through the Rodecaster, including the wireless. So this has the same wireless receiver built into it that this will just connect to it, and then I can plug the microphone into this using the XLR instead of USB, and then I can go from this over the USB into the computer, and then I've got 4 sliders, and I've got buttons to like control other sound effects and stuff like that. So that'll be a lot easier to manage my audio going forward. We gave away a ton of stuff on Saturday. We gave away tons of like giveaway points, but also tons of like Lego kits and 3D printed things and coupons for the website and all that kind of stuff. And so tonight we're going to continue that. Every time I stream in the month of July, we'll be doing some kind of giveaway. I do need to get a hold of Jacob from STEM to the Future, who we're raising money for. It's the point of all these giveaways and dragons and stuff like that. Jacob wants to be on the stream next week, so I need to arrange to have him on sometime early next week. Not exactly sure what day or what time, but it's going to be off schedule. So normally I would stream Sunday afternoons, Tuesday night, and Thursday night. This is potentially going to be like a Monday afternoon or a Tuesday afternoon or something like that. I'll still hold my regular schedule, but it'll probably be a special stream just with Jacob. So I need to contact him, and we'll get that organized for next week. Anyway, so tonight's agenda is basically just going to be mostly airbrushing the large dragon and getting in on some of that paint detail. And then while that paint is drying, we'll be working a little bit on getting the prime coat on this dragon. I'm probably going to leave the building alone, but if I'm going to paint the shingles, then I do need primer on there. So I may just do like whatever charcoal color I'm doing on the dragon. I may go even darker still for the primer and do the building. But I'm going to have to figure out what to do about the base. I may have to print the base in like FDM as opposed to resin, just because I don't know when the parts for the resin printer is going to come in. I'm still waiting to hear back from Anycubic tech support to try to verify that it is the LCD screen that broke, so that I can get the LCD screen replaced. And that's about $135 to replace that, and then the downtime and whatever. But it could take like a week to get here. So I don't know that I'm going to have enough time for the base to get done. So I'll probably do the base in FDM, and I'll just find some really dark filament to mount it on or something like that. Anyway, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing in chat? We got Jamie Penguins, we got Dusty Knuckles. Good to see you, Dusty. Got RJM, good to see you as well. So yeah, get in on that giveaway. We'll do that drawing, so feel free to just lurk in the background. You're gaining points and watch time and whatever just by hanging out and lurking. You don't have to say anything in chat, but the more active you are in chat, the more points you get as well. The more commands you do and all that kind of stuff. I've got the nanoleaf lights hooked up. I don't have any of them turned on right now, so I'm going to remedy that. And so you can control the nanoleaf lights using there's like exclamation point nanoleaf, and that'll tell you the nanoleaf sort of colors and whatever that you can do on there, as far as the patterns that show up on the tiles. And then you can adjust those with channel points. We did adjust the channel point redemption for the giveaway points, so you can convert 10,000 channel points into 500 giveaway points. Before I had it at 25, and we realized given the ratio of everything else that we've been giving away, we need to boost that up. So I boosted that, and that's ready to go. So feel free to do that exchange. You can do that exchange once per stream. So if you got, say, 50,000 channel points that you want to exchange, you can do that over the course of 5 streams. The more points you have, the more tokens you can get. The more tokens you have, the more you can kind of allocate those around all the prizes. If you do exclamation point prizes, you'll see everything that we're giving away, and that'll be sometime early August, probably August 4th or 5th. But you need to exchange all your tokens before then, but you need to exchange points into tokens by July 31st. So, and like I said, all of this is to raise money for STEM to the Future. So if you can contribute to them, that would be massively appreciated. That would be really, really tremendous help to STEM to the Future, to have folks help out in that regard. You're not obligated to donate, but if you want to donate, that would be a fantastic way to support their charity. So if you want to get in on that, that would be great. Again, not required, but it would be a super nice gesture. Other than that, yeah, I'm gonna start mixing up some paints over here. So let me switch over to this. So I'm trying to figure out which color to go with first. My kids' food wrappers out of the way here. Because we've got the fire on the head that we need to do. I'm also going to do the eyes in probably like a really dark black. And all the horns are going to be done in black as well. So just to give you an idea, like there's the size of the horn, and that's going to basically fit. It's just a ball and socket kind of thing. So I'm going to cut this off here once it's painted, and then that'll just fit in there. And then whoever wins the dragon, I'll ship the horns separately from the actual dragon itself, and you'll get to pick, like, do you want it to sort of poke away from the head, in towards the neck? Do you want it to point up? Do you want it to point down? Like, you'll be able to figure that out and then just glue it in. So the nice thing about this plastic is you can use just about any adhesive to put them together. There are specific, like, 3D printing adhesives that work best, but you don't have to use those. Now, on the dragon head trophy, because that's going to have sort of tension being up on the wall, that one you will need, like, probably proper, like, 3D printing adhesive. And unfortunately, I can't ship that with the dragon head. But I can certainly talk you through, like, what kind of adhesive you want. If you want me to do the adhesive, that's fine, but it will increase the shipping, and we'll have to talk about extra shipping fees and things like that. Generally, if you're domestic US, I'm going to ship this stuff wherever you are. I'm not too picky about that, but if you are international, then shipping some of that stuff is going to be really expensive. So, let's see. Now that I think about it, I'm wondering if I should get the primer coat on that other dragon in the building before I get into this, just so I don't forget. I might actually do that. So I'm going to mix up some primer for those. So I'm going to get this dragon out of the way just so we don't end up with overspray on this dragon. So let me move some of these parts out of the way, and then we'll get the primer on that other dragon first. So all the stuff that we gave away on Saturday, it has not shipped yet. I will get it shipped soon. I just don't know exactly when it's going to get shipped. Now, the other thing about how this printed on resin, can't easily tell on this camera. You can kind of tell there. The bottom of it ended up being a little bit rounded this way. This way is fine. This way is nice and flat, but this way it actually ended up a little bit rounded. So I am going to have to sand that down, because if we put it down, it does rock back and forth a little bit too easily. This way it doesn't really rock, but this way it kind of rocks a little bit. So I just need to sand all that flat. I'll do that after I get the primer on the main thing. And then, like I said, we're going to hit the shingles with some kind of color. Not sure if I want to do a burgundy or if I want to do a blue, but we're basically going to go all the way up into this crack up here with that color and bring that all the way down. And of course, we have some broken shingles where the dragon's actually hanging on. But we need to get some primer on here because the regular airbrush paint won't stick to sort of naked resin. So I need to get that fixed up. Got a few little nubs here to clean off as well. But otherwise, this is all ready to go. So let's mix up some paint for these. Let's get some of these old cups out of the way. Don't need those. And then we'll just go in. We'll hit that with the airbrush. That'll be really, really fast. So let's see. So we got black, and we'll probably do like I said, probably a pretty dark color. So I've got, let's see, that one is gray. This one is that also black? Okay, so I've got two different kinds of black primer. Let's see, surface primer, acrylic polyurethane. They're both acrylic polyurethane, so it doesn't really matter which one I use. So I'll just stick with it because I'm going to mix the brands together. So the building, like I said, I'm going to keep fairly dark, and then we'll get these. We'll get the initial blast of dark primer on the building. So I'm going to start with a little bit of the gray, and then we'll get the black mixed in there as well. And the reason that I'm not putting too much detail on the building is because the dragon is obviously the main detail that we're looking at. Get some of these other paints out of the way here. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. What's everybody else up to tonight? Let's see. So we are going to need some airbrush thinner. Even with the primer does come pretty ready to go, but having a bit of thinner in there just helps it go a little bit farther. And then we've got another one here, and this is just airbrush flow improver. And all that means is it's basically going to stop the paint from drying too quickly. So we only need a tiny bit of that in there. And really that's just so that it doesn't, mostly that it doesn't clog up the end of the nozzle on the airbrush. So let's get in here. I am going to like clean up the end of my airbrush here a tiny bit. So sometimes when you're painting, despite your best efforts, you end up with a little bit of extra dried up paint on the ends of things. I just want to kind of clear that off so we don't end up with any sort of jams in here as we go. I think that'd be good. We got a little bit inside of here that I'm going to clean out real quick. Having it in here isn't going to cause any problems, but if it does spray out, then you end up with a big hunk of green paint in the middle of whatever we're trying to paint. So I'm just going to clean this out of the end of the spray here. And we'll be all set to go. How's everybody else's Thursday going? Anybody do anything fun? Anybody got any fun weekend plans for the weekend coming up? Let me know what you got going on in the coming weekend. I always love to live vicariously through other people and see what you're up to. Yeah, that got all that paint out. Tiny little bit left in there. So yeah, every time you run the points command, it'll kind of go back through and it'll recalculate all your points. So as you watch the stream, every 10 minutes, it'll basically award you a bunch of points. So RJ, since the last time RJ was here and ran the points command, they've been watching 80 minutes worth of live stream, so they get 40 points for that. That's worth 4 tokens towards all of our giveaway prizes. That's a little bit light, actually. I'm going to darken that up quite a bit. That's kind of the color I want to make the dragon. You know what, I'm going to keep that aside for the dragon. And I'm going to make up a new batch for the building. But I want the building to be a lot darker than that. So it's a little more black. Putting in way more than I actually need here. But we are going to lighten that up just a tiny bit. And then, again, we need to hit it with a thinner. And that just makes it go a little bit farther. That's more than enough paint than what we're going to need for the base of that building. It's mostly just to get it to take care of just a tiny bit of that flow improver so it doesn't dry on us too quickly. Let's see how dark that gets. That's better. So that's kind of the color that I'm aiming for the building. It'll be a nice shadow color where the dragon is going to be a lighter gray. I may darken this. Actually, I'm going to darken both of these up a tiny bit more. So more black on that one, a lot more black on that one. And the nice thing about having the thinner in there is it really thins this down that you can literally stir it just by swishing it around the cup. And then I use like these little squeegees to get it in the airbrush. Obviously not going to use the one with the green on it. That'll help darken that up a little bit for us here. And we should be ready to go. So there we go. Well, that one actually didn't darken up very much for the dragon. So it's a little touch more in here. And again, I am overdoing it on the paint, but the paint is not expensive for airbrushing. So that's better for the dragon. That'll be better. Again, I want to get into a nice charcoal sort of color, but a very nice dark shadow color for the buildings. All right, let's see what we can.
Sweet name.
I don't know what you're looking at to know the context of that. What?
Just
Oh, I was asking folks what their plans were for the weekend. Sounds like Sounds like Jamie's got an exciting weekend ahead. No judgment. I like to sleep in myself. All right. So I'm going to start the compressor here. It's a tankless, constant kind of compressor. So it will get a little loud. The microphone should drown it out, but we'll kind of see how it goes here. I'm just going to throw a glove on here real quick. Where is my base and putty? I used to have a base with a little bit of putty on it to put things on so that I wouldn't get my hands dirty. I found the putty, but I cannot find my paint base. I think I know where it is. Be right back. Yep, there it is. Found it. So all I did was I 3D printed a little handle, put some blue tack kind of putty on the top, and that'll just kind of help hold this thing down a little bit, because I'm not worried about painting the bottom, but that putty is going to hold that nice and sturdy. So now I can get in and I can paint at these angles without like getting it all over my hands, trying to hold on to the thing and missing sections of it because I'm trying to hold it and paint it at the same time. So. All right, so there's a little bit of background noise from the compressor. So I'll try to keep that to a minimum if I can. Actually, let me get that to a minimum. Let me drop that somewhere else here. Bear with me a moment. I'm gonna see if I can move that a little bit farther away from me and the microphone. I'm gonna have to unscrew the thing here, I think. Let's do one of these. I need to move it around my camera. So I'm gonna actually move the paintball, move the airbrush gun itself without, hopefully without spilling that paint everywhere. All right, let's try this again. Let's see if I can move that compressor out of the way a little bit more so it won't make as much noise. It'll still make some noise, but hopefully won't pick up on the microphone as much. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. All right, cool, well, here we go. So again, we're just coming in and we're just hitting this with a bit of primer. The primer's a nice dull color as well. So it won't, the resin itself is kind of shiny, where the primer paint is kind of a dull color. So it'll take the shine off the building as well. So whatever paint that I use for the shingles, whether we do it in the burgundy or kind of a slate blue, I also want to make sure it's kind of a flat kind of paint finish on it as well. Hey, that engineer. Was the compressor on the table with the camera? Yes, it used to be. Now it's on the floor behind the desk, so you won't hopefully hear it as much. You'll still hear it a little bit, but with everything else on the table and stuff like that, it shouldn't have shaken the camera, anything like that. You know what? I've already got a jam in my airbrush. Yeah, look at the jam in here already. Just started. So one quick way to try to clear a jam is you just plug your finger on here and let that bubble up. Nope. It's not happy about that. All right, so I'm going to take all this off. And this will let us know if the jam is in the needle, or if it's in that end, or if it's in this end. Nope. Definitely behind the needle somewhere. Just curious, it looked like the camera image was a bit wavy for the vibration frequency of the compressor. That's very possible. Very, very possible. Alright, I'm gonna pull that needle back just a tiny bit. I'll put it on there. Let's see if that helps. Nope, that did not help. Alright, so we're gonna pour that paint back in the cup. And we'll see about cleaning this thing out a little bit. I had cleaned it all out last night, and apparently something else jammed it. So let's go see what's going on. So yeah, it's entirely possible that it was jammed. So one of the I picked up a handful of other things as far as having equipment for better cameras and audio and things like that as well. So we'll take a look at some of that here in a little bit. Let's see, cleaner. Let's see if I can get just a couple of drops of cleaner through there. See if that'll help. Nope, that's also not coming through. Why isn't that coming through? So I'm just going to pull the whole needle out. See if I need to clean the needle. Oh yeah, got all kinds of junk on the needle. So again, no matter how much you're washing everything else, the needle itself got really dirty, and that needs to get cleaned. So all I do for that is I put a little bit of cleaner on a Q-tip, and we just run that Q-tip over the needle. Or rather, we run the needle over the Q-tip, and then we just clean off some of that paint. So yeah, there's all that dark paint, the burgundy. I'm surprised there's not any of the green on there from last night as well, because I was doing a lot of that green paint on that dragon. So but yeah, welcome in everybody. Hope everybody's week is looking like it's going to end well and strong for everybody. This will probably help enormously when I clean the rest of the the gun last night. I didn't take out the needle. I should have, obviously. All right, let's get that back in there. Well, let's make sure actually that this actually sprays. So I'm putting just a little bit of water in the cup. Let's see. That sounds like whip. What's going on, whip? So it's not spraying any water out either. So that tells me there's an even bigger jam inside that nozzle that I need to clear. So I'm gonna go get that tool. So yeah, feel free to get in on the giveaways. We'll do that somewhere in half an hour, 45 minutes ish. Again, you don't you will need to fill out that register form for me. So if you do !register, it'll give you the URL for the form, and then from there, that'll give me your name and your address and so on. That we'll need to mail things to you if you are the lucky recipient, and then that'll also let you start accruing points and things like that as well. So lots of different ways of getting points on the channel for the giveaways to turn into tokens, and then you reserve those tokens basically for the different prizes that we have. You can do ! prizes to see what those are. We already showed off the dragons, but we've also got a number of other cool things. We added a 3D printer on there because we hit a major milestone on our giveaway, or on the donations. So we've got a 3D printer that we can give away. We've got, let's see what else is on there. We added a cosplay helmet that I will 3D print and do a couple of initial rounds of post-processing, which is basically priming and sanding and getting it ready to hand off where you can finish painting it. Or if you want to commission me to finish painting it, then I will also do that, and I will do that on stream. And then if you're not into 3D printed stuff, and you're not into like the printer, and you're not into cosplay, and you're not into dragons, we do have a big Lego kit on the list as well. And so you can turn your points into tokens, and then you can reserve the tokens for each of the prizes. So you have ultimate choice over how you allocate things. So you can exchange as many points as you like into tokens, so you don't have to convert all of them. But the more tokens you convert, the more likely you're going to be chosen as a recipient for a given prize. So the more tokens you exchange and reserve, the better your chances of being chosen. Now, each of the prizes have user limits. So, for example, I think the Lego kit is 250 or 300 tokens or something like that. If you do exclamation point prizes, you'll see all that. Ash, thanks for the resub. Appreciate that. So this is the building for this print, basically. So we're trying to get a coat of primer on the building, but my airbrush jammed. So I'm just trying to clear that jam, and then we'll be back in business, hopefully. I just want to see if I can spray some water out of that now, see if that's going to work. So we're still seeing some black paint come out when I'm splooping water in there, so something's still not getting cleaned out or thinned out or something. What I'm doing is I'm working that needle back and forth, and you can see this drop kind of coming out here. So there's still something jammed up inside. I actually can't find the little tool that I need to get that nozzle tip off of there. So I might work at it with some pliers here in a moment. So bear with me. We will get into some airbrushing. But yeah, Ash, thanks again for the sub. Appreciate that. I don't actively encourage subscribing to my channel, and that's just because I want to try and raise as much as I can for the fundraising, but I do appreciate it. If you do exclamation point money, you'll get a link for a website or a web page on my website where I kind of talk about the money that I make as a streamer and how I donate all that money back to the charities that we do our fundraising for, because I honestly don't make that much as a streamer anyway. I've never had the goal to monetize what I do. I'm just really mostly here to help people out. So on Sundays, I help people with career advice and interview preparation and resume reviews and things like that. On Tuesdays, I do live coding because I'm a programmer in my day job, and so I show people how I do programming, teach some basics, get into more advanced topics if people are interested. And then on Thursdays, I exercise the creative half of my brain, or attempt to, by doing things like this and getting into airbrushing and so on. Try to find that little tool that I need. My desk is super messy right now because I've been trying to figure out how to move things around for the new Rodecaster Duo and so on. Let's see if these pliers will help get that end off of there. There we go. Where did I find that file? So that dragon is from a website called Loot Studios, and they have a subscription where you pay them $15 a month, and they will give you like 30 or 40 models every month of varying like fantasy or sci-fi themed models, and they're all ready to go. The nice thing about their models is the resin models come pre-supported for resin printers. They also have unsupported versions if you want to make larger prints on like a non-resin 3D printer. So if you do like FDM printing, then you also get larger versions of the models that you can do that. So it's pretty nice. So for $15 you get 30 different models, but then you get like multiple versions of each of those models. So for the resin, you get them with and without supports in one size, and then you get them that same difference in sizes and so on for the larger versions as well, which if you have a large enough resin printer, you could certainly print them on a larger resin printer as well, which I started doing with this dragon model actually that I was showing. Well, actually, this model here that I'm painting the building for, there's a much larger version, and I had started with that, but the amount of resin that it was going to use up to actually finish the print was enormous. So I thought, well, I'll do the smaller version, and it's a good thing that I did, because last night, while I was trying to do some other prints for a commission, the LCD screen on my resin printer decided it wasn't going to work anymore. So my resin printer is offline now, which kind of stinks, but you know, it happens. You know, every 3D printer has maintenance and so on that you need to do, and that's just one of the regular sort of what we call a consumable resource for a resin printer is the LCD screen. So it's something that you do typically have to replace periodically. I won't say regularly, but it is something that you kind of need to budget for. If you're getting into resin printing, you will need a new LCD screen at some point. The nice thing is the LCD screens are pretty easily replaced. You know, it'll take a little bit of time to do, but it's not too bad as far as the process to actually do the work. And then you're good for another 3 months to 6 months, depending on how much you print. This one lasted me less than 3 months though, so I was kind of discouraged by that. So I reached out to their support team saying like, hey, I bought this thing for Black Friday, but I've barely used it, and now the LCD screen stopped working. I doubt they're going to send me a new one, but you never know. All right, so somewhere I've got the little nut. Oh, the nut is on there. All right, so let's get that tightened back on here. Tightened up. Need to utilize my Saturn more than do most things on Mars. Yeah, I've been actually pretty impressed with the Mars series of printers from Elegoo. They've been really nice. My first resin printer was actually the first generation Mars, and then I decided I didn't want to do resin, so I actually got out of the resin game. And then last Black Friday, I'm like, you know what? I kind of miss resin as far as the there we go. As far as the quality and so on that you get out of it, I really like resin, so I decided it was going to be worth it. This is still not 100% unjammed. I think at this point, if I run some thinner through it, it'll thin out whatever paint was in there, as well as some cleaner. So I'm just going to dab some more cleaner in here, and we'll get that running through here and see if we can clean out whatever's left in there. Okay, the cleaner alone might have done the trick. Maybe. I'm not 100% convinced. No, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay there. All right, well, let's get this other end on, and then we can get back to the priming of our building. This was supposed to be the quick part of the evening. All right, so let's go back. We'll grab our dropper, get a little more of that paint in the cup, and we will resume. So yeah, so we can see this is actually coming out nice flat black. At least I can see that it's coming out a nice flat black. And on the base, pretty happy with that. So we're just going to keep going with that flat black. So actually, oh, it's sputtering at me. It's not atomizing properly. It means it's still kind of jammed somewhere. All I did was put the end on it, and it's jammed, which tells me that there's something in here that's jamming that up. All right. cup and we'll do a little more. 9.5, what's going on? Got a pro streamer hanging out with us tonight, folks. Go give 9.5 a follow if you would, please. 9 is a wonderful person, loves being in the creative community for sure. Let me go find which window. This window, this window. There we go. Let's see if this works. Is that going to work for us? It didn't do the little visual thing. Oh well. Next time, see if we can fix that the next time. But yeah, Nine's a fantastic crafting person here on Twitch. Loves getting into crocheting. It's crocheting, right? Not knitting. I'm such a noob at that kind of stuff that I get those mixed up, so apologies if I say the wrong one. But I don't apologize when I say that 9 is fantabulous, and you need to go follow 9, because 9 is a wonderful support to a lot of other folks. Really loves taking care of community and building up other people. Absolutely a joy to hang around with. There we go. That's better. That's what we want to see. All right. Dump that in there. Come on. When I move the compressor on the floor, now the hose gets caught under the desk. All right. Stop making that much noise. Compressor is really not happy about being relegated to the floor now. All right, but we are clog free. Third time's a charm. Let's get in and paint this base here. You made me find K-Raid, nice. All right, let's get our dropper here, drop some paint, and then we'll spray some paint. All right, I got way more in the cup than I need. But now we're ready to go here. And again, the airbrush just makes really quick work of this. No, you know what? It is still jammed. What the heck? Like mere moments ago, it worked fine. All right, it's coming out kind of spackly, but I think we're going to be okay. I'm not too concerned about the quality of the primer on here, because again, the focus is going to be on the dragon that wraps around the building, not the building. So we're going to get in, we're going to do the shingles in another color. I just need to get a coat of primer on here for that paint to stick to, because the regular airbrush paint doesn't always stick really well to resin. So having some kind of primer on there is going to be really handy. Really? You're just going to jam up on me like that? We'll get there. I believe in you, little airbrush. You can do the thing. I used to get clogs like this all the time because I wasn't thinning the paint, but we added lots of thinner. And we added the flow improver, which should reduce the drying of the paint. No, it's totally jammed up again. What the heck? Airbrush, do your job, man. You know all the good peeps, that's for sure. It's this guy's fault I found K. Whose emoji is that? I can't hover over it right now. I got paint all over one hand and I don't want to work. So that's in snug. Donut King, nice. That's all new. Why is that? Why are you failing so hard? Wow, that thing's totally jammed up right now. I think I'm gonna have to disassemble the whole airbrush at this point and clean it from. Oh, yep. There's your problem. Yeah, I'm gonna have to disassemble the airbrush, I think some paint got down inside in here, like back behind the cup. So I'm gonna have to disassemble the whole thing and clean it up. So, all right, well, that kind of literally puts a damper on the stream. Then let me go shut off the compressor. And let's see what else we can do for some mischief tonight. I mean, I could do the primer with paintbrush, but then it's not going to be on very even. And with resin, you do want as even a coat as you can, especially when the parts are trying to fit together, so that you don't have like a paint barrier blocking you from fitting your parts together. So yeah, this popped out because we took the pin out, or the needle. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's something jammed down inside there that we need to fix. So at this point, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a cup. I'm going to fill it up with the big bottle of cleaner. And I was going to soak some parts in there for a couple of minutes and see if that helps. So we're just going to drop our parts in here. We'll swish and swirl those around. And we'll get some of that extra paint out of those parts. And see if we can figure out what's going on the inside of this thing. Yeah, there we go. So you can't see it on here, but I got a big glob of paint. Like once I took all this stuff off and I sprayed a little bit of cleaner down here, we got all those big globs of paint coming out. So there's definitely paint down inside here, potentially where it's not supposed to be. So I'm just going to tear this whole thing apart here. Then we'll find something else to do. So if you want to get in on the giveaway, exclamation point giveaway, I usually give away somewhere between the top of the hour and 15 minutes after the hour. So you get somewhere between 15 minutes and a half hour to get in on that giveaway. That part's clean, so it didn't make it that far back. Oh yeah, there's totally paint all the way back up to here. How the heck did paint get all the way up in there? We're just going to give this thing a good flush. The nice thing about this cleaner is you can actually recycle this cleaner. So once the cleaner gets through it, you can just let the paint settle at the bottom and siphon out the cleaning fluid on top, and you can reuse it. All right, so that piece is fine. This needs a little bit of cleanup work here. All right, so we'll find something else to do for tonight, because these parts are going to need to soak for a little bit, and I'll want to get them in some cleaner fluid, so that they have an opportunity to kind of clear out all that paint that's jamming them up. Because I'm not sure if the jam is down inside of here. I'm pretty sure the jam is still inside this part here. So, nice thing about airbrushes is you get all kinds of fun little tools, like little scrubby tools. That's not the one I want. Also not the one I want. There we go. So you get some really fun, like, little scrubber tools, like what was the character, Bert from Mary Poppins, cleaning the chimneys and stuff. You're basically doing the same kind of thing with these parts, is you're basically just shoving these things down inside to clean this stuff out as much as you can. It's really just finding the one that's small enough that you can kind of jam up in here and just scrub out any paint that is kind of left over and remaining. Kind of hit that from multiple angles and see how much of this we can actually clean out of here. So yeah, get in on the giveaway here. Is it effective or destructive to use an ultrasonic cleaner? That's a great question. I don't have an ultrasonic cleaner. I've debated getting one. I've honestly thought long and hard about getting one, because I have heard that the ultrasonic jewelry cleaners are really good for cleaning airbrush parts, but it does depend on why your part is dirty in the first place. because you shouldn't have to do this too often. Like most of the time with an airbrush, just getting cleaning fluid through it is usually enough, and then you kind of rinse it out with water, and then you're kind of ready to go for next time. Obviously you want to dry it out. You don't want to like leave it in water. Like this part you're just flushing. You never leave this part in cleaner. But these other parts, you could probably, put those through an ultrasonic cleaner. The problem is you end up, like, you can kind of see on here, sorry the lighting is poor, but you see that red ring on there. It's basically like a gasket ring on there, and you don't want that to kind of dissolve. And so you do have to be a little bit careful about leaving that in the cleaning fluid for too long. Like that's not something where I would leave this in cleaning fluid all night, like overnight, because my suspicion is that whatever is in the paint cleaner is probably not great for that rubber seal. And so I would personally not leave these things in cleaner overnight. I might leave them in, well, actually no, even the thinner, because one of these is alcohol, like there's thinner and there's cleaner. One of them is alcohol based and one's ammonia based. And I don't think either one of those are particularly good for rubber seals. So I'm just going through and I'm just dabbing some Q-tip on here and just getting the inside of that cup kind of cleaned out. I had some leftover paint in there. Get all the way down into the neck of that thing. I think that part was clean. The outside of the cup got filthy. All right, let's dry this stuff off. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, I have heard that an ultrasonic cleaner is actually a really, really handy tool to have. I don't know whether the ultrasonic cleaner would be bad for the for those little rubber seals either. So that's something that I would want to be careful about myself. But again, I've only been airbrushing since February, so don't take what I say as like gospel truth and I'm an expert or anything like that. I'm very much a novice at this, but I really, really enjoy the hobby. I've been having a ton of fun learning all the ins and outs, even all the little mundane things like how to tear the thing apart and clean it once in a while, or clean it more thoroughly is actually fun for me. It's a little cathartic, if I'm honest. So like get in here and like clean out all the tiny little nooks and crannies. I know some of it I'm doing off camera, just camera angles. So I picked up a new camera, my primary camera, and I'm going to replace this camera with the old one that you normally see me through. So I'll get those changed up over the weekend, and then I also picked up a new audio mixer, and we'll get let's see, there's that little nip right there. So yeah, so we'll get that fixed up. So right now I'm on my audio or my wireless Go 2. It's the Rode wireless Go 2, which has two parts to it. There's the transmitter part right here, and then there's also a receiver that looks just like this. And the receiver you leave plugged into your computer, and then the transmitter just you got to be within a certain range or whatever for that to work. And that works fine, except I have to remember to keep the other one plugged into the computer and turned on, which I usually remember to do when I'm going live on the wireless mic, when I'm doing stuff like cleaning and airbrushing and painting and stuff like that. But then I've got the wired microphone, which is a Shure MX7 something. I forget which one it is. It's the one with both the USB and the XLR. And right now I've got that plugged in over USB to my computer, USB-C. And what I picked up was the Rodecaster Duo, which has both the wireless receiver for the wireless mic that I'm wearing right now, as well as the XLR connection for two other inputs. So you can have a maximum of 3 audio inputs on there. So if I ever want to get around to adding a third audio channel of some kind, or like another microphone or something like that, I'll have that audio input. And then there's other buttons on there, but then you've got all the sliders and faders, and apparently the software on there is really, really, really fantastic. So I'll be tinkering with all of that on the weekend. The stream on Sunday, you'll probably hear me experimenting with that. So apologies in advance for what that's going to sound like on Sunday. But I may stream a little bit Saturday night and just see how that's going. All right, let's see if we can get this thing back together here. Or rather, see how much of it we can get back together. Yeah, it goes in that way. A lot of interesting learning curve dealing with airbrush and airbrush parts and trying to fit things together and where things go and so on. The first airbrush that I got was a kit on Amazon, which came with a tankless compressor, which basically just means it runs all the time. Normally a compressor, you run it for a couple of minutes, it compresses down a bunch of air, fills up the tank, and then you're good to go. The tankless one, obviously by its namesake, doesn't have a tank, and so you have to you just have it running all the time, and it's got kind of that loud sort of background rattle. I need to put this piece on next. So what I'm going to do here is this little nib. So the needle and this nib, you basically buy these as a pair, because the needle has to fit all the way through here. And so they sell these in different sizes. So the needles have a different width here on the end, as well as the different tip here on the end. And they have to match, obviously. So I'm pretty sure this is a 0.4 needle and a 0.4 tip. I've got a 0.2 and I've got a 0.5. I don't need quite the fine level of detail from a 0.2, and the 0.5 would be good for like spraying really big things. But because we are going to be getting into some smaller detail, I don't want to install the 0.5 needle. So I'm just going to reinstall the 0.4 nib or nub or tip or whatever. I'm sure it's got a name, but again, I'm not an expert at this. So whatever we call this tiny, tiny, tiny little piece here on the end, this little pokey piece that will make you bleed if it jams your finger the wrong way. But then so will the needle if you jam your finger on the end of that needle when it's in there as well. All right, so let me tighten that down, and then we'll get the needle back in. Again, I've got a little, so there's like a the nib is round, but there's a little square, like a flat face to it, and I've got a tiny, tiny little like wrench that tightens that on. It's lost on my desk here somewhere, so I need to track that down at some point. That part's going to go on next. Yeah, actually I need to put the needle in first. Got to get all the spots. Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's going all the way down. Then you see the little needle poke out over here, I promise. Again, I know the zoom level on this camera is not fantastic. And then you pull it back just a tiny, tiny little bit, not very much. And then there's a little nut that goes on the end here, and it just tightens it down on the end of the pin, so that when you pull this thing back, it's pulling this whole mechanism back, and it pulls the needle, not the pin. I keep calling it a pin. So just tighten that down. So then when we pull this back, it actually pulls the needle back, and that's what allows the paint flow to come down through the cup. And so this is what we call a gravity-fed airbrush. So it's using gravity to pull the paint down. The downside is you can't really like get in at different angles. You basically have to hold this thing upright all the time, otherwise all your paint spills out. You can get a cap for it. I just find it really convenient just to drop more paint in there on a regular basis. So I tend not to put too much paint in at a time. But then as you pull this thing back, you'll see this whole mechanism pull that thing back. And that's what lets the... so when you push the pin down, it lets air come through the paintbrush, or through the airbrush. And then as you pull it back, that allows the paint to kind of come through here as well. Now, something didn't line up with this because pushing that down is not lined up. So I actually need to pull all this apart and do all that again. Make sure you don't poke yourself. Yeah, so once the needle's in there, I keep my finger away from the end of it for sure, because that needle is really, really fine. And if you damage the needle, then your paint sprays off at weird angles. So you have to be really careful, like when you're cleaning it, basically you take the needle and you run it, you know, where the point of the needle is, like, you know, and you basically just run it this way across a cloth to clean it. You never go back this way because you don't want to like snag the end on something and bend the point on there. That would kind of defeats the purpose. So I need to take this part off so I can take this part out. There's the little spring mechanism in here that allows this thing to work, but this piece didn't line up properly with this. I don't know whether you call this the neck or the throat or something, was what I would call it anyway. So I basically got to take these two pieces back out so I can line this thing up properly and get that lined up. So this is on like a little ball socket, and it just sits straight down in here. But you have to make sure that the little grooves on here line up so that everything can kind of go through that way. You know what? There's a tiny bit of liquid in there that I need to clean out. So grab a Q-tip and we'll make sure we get all that out of there, because we don't want it to rust, and we don't want to have to deal with like water getting down into the air line and stuff like that. So yeah, we actually pulled quite a bit out of there. So again, when I was cleaning it, I was shooting cleaning fluid all the way down so it would drip all the way out and try to clean out all the junk. All right, so now let's get this thing lined up again. Make sure that's going to go straight down in there. So there we go. So there's a spring mechanism in here, and we want this to spring. We want this to spring up and down. That controls how much air comes out of the airbrush. And then as you pull the thing back, that pulls the needle that lets more paint fall through here to mix with the air. And we call that atomizing the paint, because it basically turns the paint into a very, very fine mist color to spray out on whatever it is you're trying to paint. All right, so now that all that's lined up, we'll get all this tightened back in. We'll get the needle back in there, we'll get that tightened down with its nut. And then maybe, just maybe, we'll be in a good place. All right, so now I can pull this thing down, I can pull the thing back. All right, so now we're in a better spot. So let's get this reinserted. And again, we bring it all the way down to the very, very end, and then we pull it back just a tiny bit. Still seeing a little bit of paint come off of that. Might be some leftover liquid in here. Right, so I'm gonna pull it back just a tiny bit. There we go. All right, so that's tightened down. There's a cap that can go on the outside of this. I usually leave it off because it makes it a whole lot easier to clean this thing later on. All right, so now we need to put this piece on here. I've seen a lot of people airbrush without any of these pieces on. They just airbrush exactly like this. Makes it super easy to like take stuff off and clean it if you get a jam. Me personally, I don't like poking my fingers, and I do have I've got this cup here that basically has an airbrush rest in it, and then you spray all your cleaning fluid and your leftover paint and stuff in here. But if you don't put these protective guards on, when you try to insert the paintbrush into the hole here, if you don't line it up properly to rest on these arms, then you can damage the needle on your airbrush. So I'm still new enough at this that I'm doing everything the way you're quote unquote supposed to. So, all right, in theory, that's all back together. In theory, that's going to work. So in theory, I'm going to go turn on the compressor and we'll check this out real quick. Let's see whether that's actually going to work for us. All right. So that's on there nice and tight. We're definitely getting airflow through. Now it's a question of, are we getting paint to flow through? I might add a little more thinner, that just in case I didn't thin it enough. Maybe that was our problem. So we'll add a little more on there, and then we get our dropper. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to put a little bit of water in and just see if we can spray water through this thing. Yeah, that's coming through, and it's coming through very consistently so far. Very nice mist coming through there. All right, we should be good to go. All right, let me dump that water. Having water mixed in with the paint is not a big deal. It'll just thin it down a tiny bit more. So if there's a little bit of water left over inside of here, I'm not too concerned about that. All right, let's see how we do. There's that water. There we go. That's better. All right. As you were. Oh yeah, this is coming out beautiful now. All right. So that's going to give us a nice, dark, shadowy kind of look to the building that the dragon is going to be on. And then again, we do need to prime the roof here a little bit because we do want to put a color on the roof. And we need more paint. So we have to prime it, and then I'll come back and I'm debating. Let me know in chat. Should we make the roof of this building? So based on this picture, let me go back over to this picture. Should I make that roof kind of a slate blue, like kind of a gray blue sort of color, or should I do that in a burgundy? What do you think will look better on that roof? Engineer is asking, not sure where you're located. How essential is the water separator for you? Not very. It's not very humid. I'm in Denver, Colorado, so the water separator is basically this bottom part here. Oops, I'm not showing the right screen. There we go. It's basically this part here, and it just keeps the moisture out of the air that goes through the paintbrush or the airbrush. And you can just hit this little nozzle here. If you do see moisture building up, you can just hit a little pin here on the bottom, and that flows, lets the moisture out, kind of like a spit valve on a brass instrument like a trumpet or trombone. But it's not something I really have to deal with here in Denver. Our relative humidity here is like 15 to 20%. So it makes it really convenient for me when I'm into 3D printing and so on. You don't have to worry too much about my filament getting too much moisture in it. I mean, it does over time, but not too badly. So again, I'm just giving this kind of a real quick sort of primer coat, but should I do these shingles in a blue or should I do them in a red? Like I'm thinking like a dark burgundy or kind of a gray blue kind of color. And it's also going to be a very muted color. It's not going to be like a bright red. It's going to be like a dark Merlot kind of dark burgundy kind of color. Let me know in chat. Should I do the roof in a red or a blue? I will follow chat's suggestion on that. I don't have any moderators, so I can't set up a poll while I'm doing this. But let me know in chat. Should this roof be blue or red? Let me know what you think. Again, we've got damaged shingles because, hey, a dragon just crash landed on here and threatening all the townsfolk. Yeah, let me know what you think about shingle color. I think having just a little bit of extra color, I think will really kind of pop a little bit. So the dragon I'm going to do in kind of a lava sort of set. We've got a little bit lighter charcoal gray color that we're going to prime the dragon in here shortly. And then we're going to go over that with kind of lava colors along the back for the spines and the spikes and stuff like that, and have a nice sort of look there. All right, so we got our primer coat on here. I'm just going to leave it on that handle to dry. Make sure I don't get it too far back here that it pokes the top. So let's go back over to here. So again, I'm trying to figure out what color to do the shingles. If I'm doing the dragon to look like this, I'm kind of shying away a little bit from having the shingles be a red Merlot color, since the dragon is going to have kind of red tones. So I'm kind of leaning towards like a darker slate blue, like a darker gray blue kind of color on those shingles. But I'm curious what you all think. Give me some opinions. Let me know your thoughts in here. But yeah, RJ, like basically like some kind of clay shingle. You know, it's those rounded shingles that you would see on you know, medieval style houses, because we all of course know what those look like. We're kind of guessing here at that, but I'm thinking if we've got red tones in the dragon, maybe not do the burgundy. I think it would blend the dragon into the building a little bit too much, even if it's a completely different red. Because yeah, I'm thinking like a really dark Merlot, like even a darker red than what I did as a base coat on the larger dragon. I want to go like even darker than that, like, you know, even the color of the cover on my chair, like just that really dark sort of red color. RC has opinions and thoughts, but not good with these things until you see it done. Yeah, and then all you know is it's not right. I'm thinking hitting the underside of the shingles red and then hit the top with a blue. Blue could also sell a moonlit roof. Ooh, that's a neat idea. Well, but if I do that on the roof, then I also have to apply that to the dragon, because the dragon is wrapped around the roof. And I would only be able to do like a little bit here because the dragon's kind of covering up the rest of the roof, and you're not going to really see the back of the roof anyway. You're really only going to see this part, because like this is a display piece that you would basically have facing people like this on your shelf. So you're only going to see a little bit of this anyway. And if I do kind of a moonlit highlight, then I also need to highlight that on the dragon as well. Not that I'm opposed to that, but I've got limited time. It's the 13th of July. I've got to finish this dragon, and I've got to finish the big one. Those are the last things I think I need to airbrush. And then I need to like start potentially printing like cosplay helmets and so on for the giveaways as well. So I'm just trying to think of like the simplest approach. I'm not going to put a ton of detail on the shingles, because again, the highlight of this piece is the dragon. And so I don't want to put a ton of detail onto the building. That's why like the base of the building, like this base down here is just going to stay that dark shadow. Whatever I put on here, I also want to be a fairly dark color, because our eyes are going to be drawn to the fire kind of coming down the back of the dragon, and the red fire coming off the wings and things like that. So I'm kind of leaning towards the blue. I don't want to leave the whole building just gray. I mean, originally I was thinking, but I thought, well, maybe a little bit of color would be nice. But I do want it to be a fairly dark color as well. Hey, Zooey, good to see you in chat. You sent a picture of your printer boxes. Okay. RC got a whole bunch of new toys in the mail. With the red tone of the dragon, do gray shingles. Well, I mean, they're already going to be kind of that charcoal gray. I mean, I could do a lighter gray, but the dragon's base color is also going to be a light gray. So it's going to be kind of this lighter gray that we're then going to blend into the fire and so on. So again, I want some differentiation between the shingles and the dragon itself. So yeah, let me know what you think. I'm happy to keep chatting about it and come up with some ideas. We've got about 5 minutes or so till we do the giveaway. So exclamation point giveaway. See that instruction like down here in chat. See it down here in chat. Exclamation point giveaway in chat. Everybody's eligible. What should we give away? I usually say if we have less than 20 viewers, it's going to be a coupon code from my site, and those coupon codes will stack. And so if you want something bigger later on, the more of those coupons you win, then the more you can kind of stack those up, and you might get something for free by the end of it. Because the coupon codes are worth $15, which is more than enough for a couple of like laser engraved things plus shipping. But if you want a cosplay helmet, those cosplay helmets start at $45, $60, somewhere there, and go up. And so if you can get enough of those coupons on these daily giveaways, then that can stack to the point where the helmet might be free, and then you just pay for the shipping. Depending on how much post-processing you want, that sort of thing. So yeah, get in on that giveaway. Everybody is eligible. So we'll do that drawing in about 4 minutes. You got about 4 minutes. to get in on that. And then let that finish up there. All right, so let's get the last of that paint sort of cleaned out of there. I might do a second coat of that on there later on, but for now, that's all we need. Now the dragon is a lighter color of gray, so I'm not going to clean the whole airbrush out. I'm just going to reuse the little bit of color that's already in there. In fact, I'm even going to use the same dropper that we had before, and I'm going to start on some color on that dragon. So here's that dragon. So he kind of wraps around the building like this, and I'm just going to hit him with a lighter coat of gray paint as well. So we got about 3.5 minutes. So get in on that giveaway. You know you wanna. Unless you're Pick Stitch, because Pix doesn't like to enter giveaways for some reason. Not sure why. I'm actually going to be up in Toronto in a couple of weeks. I'm debating bringing something to Pix. Since Pix doesn't want to enter my giveaways, I'm thinking I might just give him a giveaway item of some kind when I go up to Toronto. We'll see. Oops, I just realized my camera's on the wrong camera. Hi there. So yeah, I'm going to hit this a little bit. You got about 2.5 minutes for exclamation point giveaway. Get on that giveaway. All right, so we kind of hit that a little bit hard with that darker paint. All right. There we go. Now you're not going to notice a ton of difference between the gray of the resin and the gray that I'm painting on there, but it will make other paint much more likely to stick on the resin. Otherwise, like if I were to put acrylic paint directly on the resin, it would actually have a tendency, like if you bump the thing, the paint would actually scrape off. And that would be bad. That would be full of sad. So we're just going to hit this with a bit of primer. And then we'll get in, we'll do the other detail on it later on. It does make it a little tricky for me to see where I've hit it with primer and where I've not hit it with primer. So I'm just going to do this one part of the wing, and then we should be close enough to our giveaway time. Got about 1.5 minutes left to do exclamation point giveaway. It's coming out like, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't add more thinner to this paint. I got to be careful that we don't jam it up again. I'm just going to dump some thinner in the other one, and I'm just going to like spray that out of here while I come over here. So we can do a giveaway. You got 45 seconds to get on that giveaway. Exclamation point giveaway. We got almost 20 people here. If somebody can invite a friend over here and we get 20 viewers, then I will give away a dragon. It is my traditional articulated dragon that I will give away if we get 20 viewers. But we'll also have to see how many people are actually in the giveaway. So how many people are actually in said giveaway? 10 entries. So we got about 50%. So if we can get that up to 12 people, let's aim for that. If we get to 12 people or a baker's dozen, anything more than 12, get more than 12 people in that giveaway, I will give away a dragon. I'll give you all a couple extra minutes to like tell some friends to get their butt over here and get in on that. So yeah, if you want to do points and see how many points you got to do the bang register, exclamation point register. We call it bang in programming. Do exclamation point register. There's a form to fill out, and then when you come back and do points, it should try to see whether you filled out that form and pull everything over. If that doesn't work, if it still says you haven't registered, then there's an exclamation point registered, plural or past tense. Do that one and see whether that pulls over your registration form. If that still doesn't work, then there's something bigger afoot. Yeah, give the So go bug some friends to come over here. If we can get a dozen people in the giveaway, we'll do a dragon. I'll give you till 9:25. If we can get a dozen people in here before 9:25, I'll give away a dragon. Otherwise, I will give away a coupon code. Or if somebody wants to convince me to just do the giveaway right now anyway, I could be persuaded. But it'll just be a coupon code. But if you're hoping to stack up some coupon codes on cool3dthings.com, you can do !catalog and go see all the stuff that I've got on there. I've got a full range of cosplay helmets. You can do bang helmets. That'll give you a link to go directly to the helmets. Wait, did I say your name? No, I did not. But, you know, if you want to bring some friends over. Hey, Jamie, there you go. So you got that point. Yeah, so look at all the points you got. So you got 208 points. That's worth 20 tokens. I think Nine's hoping that Nine's going to win something. So go check out the link for the helmets. That'll show you like all the Star Wars helmets, all the Marvel, DC kind of stuff that I've got. Stuff based on movies like G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes, and like RoboCop and stuff like that. I've got all kinds of fun cosplay helmets. And that is one of the giveaway prizes. So if you do ! prizes, it'll show you that a cosplay helmet is one of the things. When we get to $2,000 donation to STEM to the Future, I'm going to add another cosplay helmet. At $2,500, I'm going to add a whole bunch of 3D printed lightsaber hilts with a collapsible blade that goes inside. They're all going to be 3D printed. They're just going to be single color. I'm not going to like airbrush them and paint them because I won't have that kind of time. But I will 3D print an entire set of those lightsabers. And there's like 5 or 6 of them that I can print and give away. And I'll just do an assortment of blade colors for them. Some of them, like the Sith lightsaber, that one's only going to come with a red, but all the other ones should all be the same size of blade, and so you can interchange those a little bit. But I'll do that at $2,500, and at $3,000, if we can raise $3,000 for STEM to the Future, I'm going to add a resin 3D printer to the list. So you're welcome to donate. You don't have to donate, but you do have to go invite some more friends over here and get in that giveaway, because we got about 6.5 minutes before I do the drawing. So if we can get 12 or 13 people, 12 or more, we'll just say 12 or more. You get 12 or more in the giveaway, I will give away a 3D printed dragon. If we have fewer than 12, it'll be a coupon code. We've convinced 9 to get in there. All right. Thank you, 9. Let's see. How are we doing for giveaways here? We got 12. All right. So a dragon it is. Or I can do a poll and find out whether people want a coupon code or a dragon. And then we'll try to figure out why my airbrush is still jamming on us. It's more cleaner through it, and it's more thinner. Self-conscious about entering giveaways. I don't know why. Giveaways are fun, and they're open to everybody. I do love to give stuff away. You should have been here Saturday. We gave away tons of Lego kits, tons of 3D printed stuff. We gave away 3D printer filament. We raised enough money that night that we decided we were going to give away a 3D printer as part of our July monthly giveaways. And I do these big giveaways 3 times a year. So the next one will be October, in time for holidays. This is our mid-year giveaway extravaganza, or whatever we want to call it. I don't know. Don't really have a name for them. We're just out here trying to raise money for groups that are helping other people learn about STEM education and help hopefully give them a better life and help their families as well, because it doesn't just help that person grow, it puts their families in better positions, and anything I can do there. So 3D printer, you'd be stoked? Well, hey, you never know. You never know. It's the last thing you need. I mean, your kids would love having a 3D printer, 9. I think they would have way more fun for sure. But think of all the crochet things that you could do with a 3D printer. You know, you could 3D print your own hooks. You could 3D print like all kinds of stuff. They would actually come out better in resin. but you can do them in FDM. FDM though might snag on some of the yarn, but you do those things in resin and like sand them down a little bit, you'd have like perfect needle, like crochet needles. And they would be asking for wild stuff, of course they would. All right, cool. Well, we have enough people. Do we do a dragon or do we do a coupon code? I'm gonna start a poll. And oops, not announced. I want to do a poll. Giveaway. What are we giving? I can type, I promise. Giving away tonight. Are we giving away a dragon or are we giving away a coupon code? I'm going to let you all vote for 3 minutes on what you would like to receive, and whatever chat decides, that's what we're going to give away tonight. So the dragons look like this. This is the classic articulated dragon that I give away. This is made by, designed by a company called Flexi Factory. I did not design this. I simply print them in fantastic colors. This filament was actually highlighted on Filament Stories on YouTube, and it's made by a company called Zero. And I forget the exact name. I think they call it Twilight, but it is basically twilight colors, dark blue, dark purple, a little bit of charcoal with a really heavy gold sparkle in there. So you can see that sparkle coming through on the side of his head. It's got a really thick, chunky gold sparkle in here as well. And this one does kind of rear up and stand up on his own. The way that they design these little spikes and everything, it fits together that, you know, when it's up on a shelf or something like that, it will stay put. See how steady my hands can be. Stay. Ta-da. So yeah, really, really cool colors. And I've got like tons of like rainbow color filaments. I've got dark rainbow. I've got bright rainbow colors. I've got different kinds of transition colors from one to another. I've got filament where like the left half of the dragon is one color and the right half of the dragon is another color. I've got tons of stuff. So go ahead and vote in that poll and see, do you want a dragon or do you want a coupon code? Again, the coupon codes will stack on cool3dthings.com, and I've got tons of laser engraving stuff, and like they're goofy, silly, sarcastic little sayings that you can get on a card, well, a wooden card. So they look like these. Well, they won't look exactly like these, but this is the size. Basically, it's a 4-inch by 6-inch piece of wood. I've also got 4-inch by 4-inch pieces of wood if you want more of a coaster style. I've also got coasters, which will like laser engrave and like cut out cool little patterns and make coasters. I also have slate coasters that I can engrave some things on. Not everything on the site can be put onto the slate coasters, but this is what the slate coasters look like. I have them both in round and square color slate. And basically I can just laser engrave some kind of design on there as well. So we've got slate, we've got different sizes of wood. Another category that I need to put on there is like these big 12-inch discs that I've got that I can laser engrave a little hole, and you can like hang it on a nail on the wall and put some kind of like fantastic fun little saying on there as well. So we've got lots of colors of filament. We got tons of stuff that you can laser engrave. So yeah, you can. Are we giving away a dragon or are we giving away a coupon code? Because again, the coupon codes are going to stack. So if you want to get into like cosplay type helmets, so here's my first attempt at silver metallic paint on a helmet. I kind of didn't hit enough here, and then I hit way too much here, and it actually blobbed and dripped down the front, but super shiny. And then this gets sanded with like 3,000 grit sandpaper. Well, this one's going to get a little bit rougher. This one I'm probably going to do like 800 grit, and which will take off a lot of the silver, and then I'm going to go back over it with a very, very light coat of silver, and then we're actually going to get in and paint the whole design on this printer, or on this helmet. And then I've got to sand the other one. The other one just got its second coat of primer. We're going to get that sanded down, then that one gets its coat of silver, and then the colors over top of that will give us kind of that metallic color. I've got some graphite powder around here somewhere. We're going to rub that in as well, and it's going to give it a really cool metallic look. And then we're going to get in with the different colors. G-Bav wanted his in green, and the one for his girlfriend, the Bo-Katan Kreese. We're going to do like white, pink, and black kind of colors on that one. So, and a dragon it is. You would love that Deadpool helmet. So would I. I've got the eyeballs. I've got some of the eyeballs. So here's one of the eyeballs. and these all just fit in with magnets. So they've got little round things on here. You just pop some magnets in here, and so you can just pop the thing out and put a different expressive kind of eyeball in there instead. I've also got several kinds of Daredevil cowls. So if you're into Daredevil, hello 12. If you're into Daredevil, this one needs to be sanded down. It came out pretty rough, so I added a ton of Bondo to it. Got pretty messed up from the fumes of the Bondo. So I got a little bit of work to do, but all of that stuff is secondary because we got to get our giveaway items done. So everybody wants a dragon. Just trying to play with some of my own dual and tri-extrusion filaments. Yeah, lots of potential for fun. They are pretty neat. Is that rattle can? So the silver one is rattle can, yeah. But when I do the final design, it's going to be airbrush. So everything's going to be masked off, and I'm going to go in and like airbrush the design on from there. So once so the silver one, it needs 800. I'm going to do a second coat just to get the drips off of there. And then once that's done, I've got graphite powder. I'm going to rub the graphite powder in. And then from there, then when we apply the other paint, it'll give it that really nice metallic sort of look. And the idea there is I'm going to do very, very light coats of the color so that a lot of the silver and the graphite is going to kind of shine through. And so that's going to give it like a very nice metallic, like worn out metallic kind of look on the helmets. So it should be pretty sweet. So yeah, lots going on for sure. Cool. Well, let's do that giveaway. So we're going to do a giveaway for our daily, and we're going to give away a dragon. All right, you do need to be here in chat. So that's the other catch. If you're lurking in the background, if you can hear my voice, come back to my voice, follow the sound of my voice. You do need to be in chat. There's a claim command. Emmanuel Hugo, thanks for the follow. Appreciate that. Got all the lights hooked up to the follow command on Streamer.bot now, so that works great. But yeah, appreciate the follow. Welcome in. Last possible second chance if you want to do exclamation point giveaway. I will need you to do the exclamation point register up here so that I have your name and your address. But there's a claim command that you're going to need to type in chat. So if your name gets drawn, you have 60 seconds. We'll see a little timer show up down here. You need to type exclamation point claim to actually claim the prize. If you don't do that in 60 seconds, we redraw. So you will need to be here. So if you're lurking in the background, get back over here because we're drawing right now. So if you are not in the daily giveaway, now's the time because we're about to draw. So who just followed? It was Emmanuel Hugo. If you want to get in on the giveaway, right now is the time. Exclamation point giveaway right here. Do that in chat and we'll get you in the giveaway. And we're drawing for the thing right now. You don't have to register first. You will need to fill out the registration form so that I have your name and address, but we will need you to at least enter the giveaway. I'll give you 10 more seconds or so. I don't think they're gonna, but everybody's eligible. All right, we're gonna go ahead and draw. So here we go, drum roll. And our recipient for the day is that engine nerd. Engine nerd. That specific engine nerd. You need to do exclamation point claim in chat. There we go. Hey, and the timer went away. It worked. Hooray. All right, cool. Don't mind if I do. I appreciate that you do. So I think you've already done the register thing. Send me a Twitch whisper, or you can contact me on Discord. I use the same username as many places as I possibly can. So contact me in your communication channel of choice. You can DM me on Twitter, you can DM me on LinkedIn, you can DM me on Instagram, Threads, Discord, here on Twitch, all the same username, Ian Douglas 736. And let me know what kind of filament you would like, or if you just want a random one. I've got a box of them printed here next to me. I can just pull a random one and send that and surprise you. Or if you want a specific kind of filament, let me know. If you want to go check out my Instagram, I do have some pictures of some of my dragons in different filaments on my Instagram over here. You can go check that out, instagram.com/IanDouglas736. Go check that out. But yeah, let me know what kind of filament you'd like. It's just junk water. Don't drink it. It's just leftover paint, stuff like that. Cool. All right, well, congrats on that. If you want to keep lurking in the background, you're gaining points and stuff like that. If you registered up here, all the minutes that you're watching are going to turn into points the next time you do points, as long as you do the register command. So many filaments out there. I'll go with dealer's choice. Okay. All right. Yeah, message me anyway. Appreciate that. And then I will get all the other giveaways from last Saturday. So we were giving away things like Buzz Lightyear. There's a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. Can you put this in the box down over there? Thank you. So I've got like a whole box of stuff that I need to like ship up and pack up individually and ship out to everybody. I'm going to do that over the weekend. So if they don't go out Saturday, they will go out Monday. I will message everybody with your tracking information, so you know you can at least track it. Yeah, I'll get all that stuff out pretty soon. So we gave away the lightsaber set to Westery. We had, just a whole bunch of like Lego kits. We also gave away like a big Lego kit, which is the same Lego kit for our July giveaway. So our July giveaway, if you're not into dragons, not into 3D printing, I do have Luke's X-Wing Skyfighter. That is one of our prizes. But I had a second one, and so we gave that second one away on Saturday. I've also got the TIE Bomber as well, but that one's probably going to be for me to build. The Grey Dragon is coming along very nice, for sure. We got lots of very interesting base colors going on that one. We got the blend into the burgundy. I may brighten this up a tiny bit, but I actually kind of like where it ended up. So I got that on both sides of the wings, and then we got the base coat for the green, so when we get in there with the black and the lime green, that's going to kind of pop through. We're going to have a lot of fun finishing that one up for sure. Anyway, I got a lot of other stuff to mail. I will get that out over the weekend. You'll be out in my neck of the woods next month. Well, send me a message. Let me know when. I'm out of town the 1st through the 3rd. But aside from that, I'm around the entire month of August. So if you're out in the Denver region, or if you live in the Denver region, you want to hang out and grab a coffee or something, please message me. Let me know. I'm more than happy to hang out with folks. Cool. Well, I'm going to get back to airbrushing that dragon and get that base coat on there. So thanks for hanging out for the giveaway. If you want to jet, you can. If you want to lurk in the background, continue to gain those points in the background. I've still got chat popping up over here. So feel free to just keep chatting away. End of August? Sweet. Yeah, I'll totally be here end of August. So I'm going to switch my camera view over here, and I'm going to keep airbrushing over here. Sweet. And then I should probably turn off the giveaway thing, since we are no longer doing the giveaway thing. All right, well, let's get back in here and do some more of that gray color for our dragon. And again, this is just to get the base color on so that we can get in there with that fire effect. Once this is all on and dried and so on, I can get in with some of that other detail. So it's a little hard to see on camera, but that part of the wing is a little bit darker than the base coat, and it also doesn't make it shiny anymore. And that's kind of what I'm aiming for. So we're getting rid of the shiny, and we're giving it a coat of paint that other paint will stick to. And I was really impressed with the quality of the resin print that came out on this. It's really, really great. I'm really excited to get in here and get in all the little nooks and crannies and get in here with the with kind of that fire theme of the paint. So, hey, congrats on catching the Pokemon. I'm still trying to figure out aspects of that Pokemon game. I know how to catch the Pokemon, and I've done a couple of battles. Turns out I'm horrible at Pokemon battles, but I have gotten in there and done a few battles. I don't know how to use the potions. Like, I think you have to use the potion during the battle, and there's also like revive potions that you can do, but I think again you can only use those while you're in a battle. And then to evolve into like other forms of Pokemon, you gotta like collect other things that are like super duper rare. And I'm pretty sure you have to hang out in the Twitch channel of the two people that make the Pokemon community game in order to get some of those things that you need to actually evolve, because I have not found them anywhere else. So I just kind of lurk in their channel like 24/7. I've also figured out, and Nine, this is maybe something that I don't know whether you knew, I think I've figured out a way to not game the system, but to have better odds of catching Pokemon in the game. I'm pretty sure that when you do the Poke Catch, that it's a chance based on how many people that actually enter that try to catch the Pokemon. And if you hang out in their channel and try to catch a Pokemon, the chances that you actually catch the Pokemon are quite small. But if you go over to some other streamer who's also playing the Pokemon game, and you're like one of few people to try to catch a Pokemon, you are far more likely, I won't say guaranteed, but you are far more likely to actually catch that Pokemon in a smaller streamer's channel. So if you hang out on their channel, you get additional money and additional drops and things like that they occasionally give out to everybody that are watching their stream, but you have to chat in their stream from time to time. But they've pretty much always got like words on stream and like all those kinds of streamer games playing all the time. And so play a couple of games, and then that's enough to kind of give you all the extra drops and stuff for some period of time. But if you see a Pokemon show up, don't try to catch it in their chat. Go find another smaller streamer who also plays the game. So like I might have Nine's channel open, or Amish Ace, or someone like that, and then try to catch the Pokemon in their channel. And I've caught something like 50 or 60 Pokemon doing that in other people's channels, where it was kind of a crapshoot whether or not it was like a bigger gamble whether you catch the Pokemon on their channel or not. So. Wow, you've got a lot of Pokemon. I've got almost 200. You've got 1 million Pokemon dollars? That's redonkulous. So yeah, anyway, I figured out that by hanging out in Nine's channel and Amish Ace's channel and a couple of other smaller streamers, that pretty much every time I do a Poke Catch with an Ultra Ball, I pretty much catch that Pokemon almost every time. But as soon as I go to the people that make the game, as soon as I hang out in their chat, I have like a 1 in 10 chance of catching a Pokemon, even throwing like the expensive Ultra Ball. And there's different Pokeballs that you can get based on the type of Pokemon it is and whatever, but I don't know enough about the Pokemon creature to know like, oh, this one's a heavy one, I need to throw the heavy ball, or this one is a flight Pokemon, so I need to use the net ball. I just sell all the other stuff that I get, and I just buy Ultra Balls and just throw those all the time, and they work great. So the nice thing about the airbrush is I can kind of do this from a distance. I don't have to be like right up super close to the dragon to get the paint everywhere that I need to get the paint, because you do kind of need to hit all the little nooks and crannies. But you can kind of do it from a distance. And again, this is just a simple base coat that we're putting on here. And the more that I was looking at this model, the more I realized that the head of this dragon, check this out, the head of that dragon is also this dragon from our trophy. So this is like super duper sized version of this other dragon that I'm airbrushing right now. I was actually really tempted. I was super duper tempted to paint this dragon like the other one, make it blue and paint the horns white and whatever, and this was going to be like a miniature version of the trophy head that we're giving away. But to try to get in there with that much intricate detail was going to be really tricky, so I decided not to. But it's the same dragon head, which is pretty ridiculous. What did I miss in chat? Yarn ball holders, trade block, there we go. Electric eel wheel 6.0, nice. Yeah, we'll get Nine a 3D printer someday, I'm sure. RC just got a whole bunch. Maybe RC will give you a printer. he'll get you hooked up, or just addicted to it. Either way, but 3D printing is a lot of fun. Like everything, there's a learning curve, and sometimes that learning curve is frustrating. Trying to figure out like why didn't that thing print the way that I thought it was going to print? Or trying to diagnose things like, why is my resin printer not working at all? And then realizing the LCD screen on it is no longer functional and it needs to be replaced. Some of that kind of stuff is discouraging. But honestly, once you kind of get into it, it's just kind of second nature of like, oh yeah, it's about that time. I'm probably going to need to replace that part soon. And so when it happens, then you're not really surprised. So, but like every hobby, that kind of stuff happens. Like I was watching Pick Stitch, like, I don't know, a week or two ago. In the middle of crocheting something, crochet hook just snapped. It just broke. Big 8mm crochet hook just decided to stop working. And just fall apart on picks. So, you know, if you know that that kind of thing can happen, then you're kind of not as surprised about it when it does happen. And then you just kind of roll with it, you know? I think the more in life you can kind of anticipate things, not that you're expecting bad things to happen, but when you know that things could go badly with a given hobby, and you're sort of prepared for it, like, oh, you know what? I bet this 8mm crochet hook is going to break someday. Maybe I'll have like an extra one ready to order on Amazon, or I'll have it like in my, you know, my wish list in Amazon, so I can just order a new one within a couple of minutes if it does break. Like, it's no big deal. Like, yeah, maybe it ruins your plans for that day and whatever, but it's not the end of the world. I think the more we can kind of do that, I think the better off we are as society. Again, not that you're expecting bad things to happen, that you just walk around with a pessimistic attitude, but that you can sort of roll with it a little bit easier, that you don't get as freaked out or as frazzled when those kinds of things happen, because they're going to happen. Even Bob Ross said sometimes you need the dark. You need the shadow to kind of highlight the light and the good things that happen in life. Sometimes you need bad things to happen too, just to sort of balance things out. So, all right, well, there's our base coat on said dragon. That actually came out decently dark, but I really like the flat color. Our building is honestly almost as dark as the dragon ended up being. So I may go through, I may just put a little bit darker coat on here, but I think we'll leave it kind of where we're at for that. Let's get this cleaned out a little bit here. So we were trying to figure out color for the roof, and I think we were kind of debating going with sort of a slate blue kind of color. Not getting very much airflow through the airbrush. The paint's coming out fine, but it's so with an airbrush, notice how it's coming out in a spatter like that. That's very likely means I've got a jam, but I just don't have the airflow coming through like I expect. So I'm going to take this end off here. This will kind of help me pinpoint a little bit where the problem might be. So the fact that that air is coming out a lot stronger means that it's probably not a clog at this point. It could just mean that I've got a buildup of paint in here. Yeah, and sure enough, I can't even see through this thing. So there's some paint that's clogging this thing up that I need to clear out. So I'll hit this with a little bit of water, some cleaner, and a Q-tip, and we'll get this sorted out. I love how RC's just going to town, like finding all this crochet stuff for 9, getting 9, like, no pun intended, but getting you hooked on the idea of getting a 3D printer to support your crocheting. Okay, maybe the pun is intended a little bit. Good job, RC. Way to recruit the masses into our hobby for sure. Okay, so we're just getting this stuff cleaned up a little bit here. No, that's still not cleaned out. Here we go. A little bit of extra air. Whatever was in there cleaned out. So I'm pretty sure it's not that part. It's that part's nice and big. All right, so we should be good to go there. You of all people to say no pun intended. Yeah, well, I tried nearly a dozen jokes to try to get people to laugh, but no pun in 10 did. So if you do exclamation point dad joke, you'll hit my dad joke database and see some jokes. If anybody out there uses Streamer.bot, let me know, because my dad joke thing, if you do exclamation point dad joke, I actually have that code running on Streamer.bot, and I'm happy to share that code so that other people can implement my dad joke database if you would like. But you do need to be running Streamer.bot for that to happen. And there is another like library that you need to download to make sure it can sort of break down all the information that it gets as part of the call for the joke. But yeah, if you use Streamer.bot and you want a dad joke generator, then we'll definitely get in there. Do I have the Trololo? I don't know. That should be on that page. Why isn't that one working? I'm gonna check out the queue. No, it says it is running, but it is not showing up here on the screen. Why is that not showing up on the screen? Why you no show? Let's see. You tried the Lord of the Rings with the sax. No, they're not playing.
You have my sword.
I'll manually play it for you. There you go.
And my axe.
And you also wanted the so I'll play that one for you too.
Show yourself. Be careful. Even in defeat, Saruman is dangerous. I've had enough. Shoot him. Stick an arrow in his cock.
I had my mic muted while I was playing those videos. Apologies for that. So I wanted to make sure that, because I want to hear the funny like videos as well, but I don't want it to like double up the audio. So yeah, sorry for that. So I muted the mic while the thing was playing, and then I forgot to unmute my microphone. So yeah, so we're gonna do these spikes. I do need to sand them a little bit because I did have some stringing on the 3D print. So I just want to sand that off a little bit before we paint these, just that way we don't end up with like fuzzy looking spikes. Get that. It also gives it a little bit of a polish. So what I did is I mixed a little extra black paint in the paint that we were using on the building here, and we're going to use that to paint up these spikes. So these spikes go on the back of the wings. And originally I was thinking of doing these in kind of that cyan color from that cockatrice picture that we're kind of modeling this great dragon after. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make them all kind of that really dark, deep black color. So we're going to hit it with this black primer. It'll also give it kind of a nice flat color. That way it's not drawing attention away from other things, and then I can go in and I can highlight that flat black with like white highlights or silver highlights or whatever afterwards as well. So I'm just going to come in here and just sand off a little bit of that stringiness. I've still got a little bit of stringing left over here. All right, so that one's good to go. And then this one, you know, we got all this extra like little stringiness left hanging out here, so I just want to sand that stuff off. What's everybody else up to tonight? That's why the command exists, exactly, because I will hear that, and then I absolutely will pay attention to chat when I'm otherwise not paying attention to chat. So that's exactly why I have that there. So thank you to whoever did that. That was RC, so thank you, RC, for bringing my attention back to chat for a moment. Well, I do have chat like on a little tablet like right here next to me. But when I'm standing like this, then I tend to like pay attention to that instead. So, yeah, appreciate you looking out for me, man. I always appreciate that you're here lurking in chat and helping out and answering questions and stuff, or just making me pay attention to chat and reposting stuff that I miss and stuff like that. I always appreciate having RC around. It was great meeting RC Maniac in person out here in the Denver region. RC came out here from his neck of the woods to come to a 3D printer conference that was happening just north of the Denver region back in, when was that, May? I think it was back in May, wasn't it? And so yeah, I got to hang out with RC Maniac for a couple of days. Got to hear all the ins and outs of dealing with 3D printing and conferences and stuff like that from RC Maniac's perspective. So always fun to meet people, but especially when it's someone that kind of regularly, routinely hangs out in your chat. It was really nice to hang out for that couple of days. There we go. All right, hose on the airbrush was getting tangled. All right, let's see. We got one more to do here. So again, I'm using kind of a finer grit sandpaper. I think this is 600 grit. And I'm just kind of like wiping it around the horn just to get a lot of that stringing off. A lot of the friction will take that off, just to kind of clean that up a little bit. So when we hit it with the paint, it'll have most of that stringiness taken off of there. If it's being stubborn, then I can get in there with a little bit harder grit and get in there and polish that off a little bit. By the way, these little foam core sanding strips or sanding sticks are really, really great for this kind of cosplay stuff and getting in little nooks and crannies, but especially on the helmets and getting around like where the visors go and like trying to sand in like all those little parts. These foam core sticks work really, really well. So I already did all 4 of these. Those are done. That one needs a little bit more, I think. Yeah, I think we're good to go there. And then, yeah, I just cut these off. This one fell off, but I'll clean that one up a little bit. But I've got enough left on the nub here that I can just grab it on one of these, and that'll let me kind of hold on to the thing while I paint it. So We'll just clip that on there, and then I can just airbrush that. So we mixed up a little bit more dark paint in here. This will probably come out a little bit darker than the building. I may add even more black on that. You're gonna try and get to Rocky Mountain next year as well. That'd be great. It was a really good turnout. They had more than 3,000 people show up to it, so it was really great. I've got way more paint here than I need. That's okay. All right, I'll go turn the compressor back on, and then we'll. I had to turn the compressor off because it was making a pretty awful racket. We'll get these the first coat of paint on. I was also showing this. This is from HueForge. This is someone else's model, but just super thin. It's black, 2 shades of blue, and then a white on top, and you get really cool 3D effects. So looking forward to playing with HueForge a little bit once the kids are back in school. I have a little more time to myself for that sort of thing. Let's get this going here. So what I was trying to explain, I think while my mic was muted, is I'm just going to hit this with a flat black. It's going to be a little bit darker than the building that we put the primer on. But then by having this as a flat black, it'll give me more opportunity to come back in later and kind of hit it with highlights with like white and silver or some other kind of highlight. Like if the head of the dragon is meant to be kind of a flame, then I could get some red and orange and yellow highlights on the side as well to make it look like, you know, a little bit of leftover glow from the dragon itself is hitting the horn, stuff like that. So I'm just going to have more opportunity to get in and do stuff like that a little bit later on. But at a minimum, I want these things to be black in color. And then, like I said, whoever is the recipient of this dragon, you'll be able to glue these in any orientation you like, because they are curved. So do you want that to curve into the neck? Do you want it to curve away from the neck? Do you want it to point up? Do you want it to point down? Totally up to you. So you'll have a little bit of customization when you get this dragon in. RC Maniac got a airbrushed version. We did kind of an ice dragon version of that great dragon back in April, I believe. And then April was our month-long giveaway, and RC Maniac was drawn as the recipient of that. Or no, it was... I think we gave it away after Rocky Mountain. When was Rocky Mountain? Now I totally forget when Rocky Mountain Rap Festival was. Was it in March? I totally forget when it was now. Because I thought... Because RC Maniac got to see it in person, but wasn't yet the recipient of it. We hadn't actually drawn for it yet. It wasn't April? Okay. There we go. It's jamming up on me again. I think I put a little bit too much paint in without enough thinner again, so I gotta be a little bit quick about this, otherwise we're gonna end up with more jamming, and I don't really want to tear this thing apart for the third time tonight to clean everything, so we're gonna do our best to kind of get through it here. That one done. This one. But yeah, if you're coming up to Rocky Mountain, give me a heads up. I'd love to meet folks. I had a table there this year. Sold a couple of things. Well, sold a pretty good handful of things. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then like getting around, meeting other people, also people who stream here on Twitch in the maker community. It was also fun getting to meet some of them and just hang out with them for a couple of days. It was loads of fun. And then seeing like kind of the more famous maker people like Joel Telling and getting to meet them, and also hearing stories from folks like RC Maniac about hanging out Joel or the team at Prusa or whatever, and just getting to hear all those kinds of stories was pretty neat too. This one I didn't put on a hook, so this one's going to end up needing a second coat later just to get the part that I'm covering with my fingers. So this is just getting a real quick primer coat that we can get in later and highlight these a little bit differently later on. But this will come out a nice flat black. So coming back in and touching it up with other highlights, whether it's also going to be a black paint, or get in with like a silver or a white, or like I said, we can do some of the glow of the red and the orange and yellow at a minimum, maybe a tiny bit of red from the fire that's basically happening on the head of the dragon. Then it'll give us that opportunity a little bit later. Nice thing about this primer as well, when you're painting from an airbrush, the air coming through, so if I pull the pin back, it gives me paint. If I just push this down, it gives me air, and that air, if I just hit it with air and no paint comes out, then that air also helps to dry the paint. And so getting a little bit of extra coverage on there can happen that much faster. One wasn't fully dry, but we'll get there. And like I said, these horns are kind of ball and socket. So the jaw on the dragon is where this round part of the horn will fit in. Even though I'm covering it with paint, it'll keep the adhesive from doing its full job. But my intention is that before I ship this out to whoever the recipient is, that you're going to get. I'm going to go through and like sand those little joints down a little bit. So if you happen to have good 3D printer adhesive like Gloop or something like that, those parts will stick together a little bit better. Cool, so those are done. I will need to come back and do this one at some point. See if we can add a bit more on there. So if I hit it with too much air, then it rolls around. So I'll finish that one up a little later. I'm pretty much good to go. So we got the base paint on this dragon, we got the base coat on the building, we got the horns for the big great dragon done. What else is needed for the night? I don't think I'm going to do any more painting on the great dragon tonight, at least not on stream. Airbrushing on the other dragon head is done. I think we're pretty much good. At least as far as that part is concerned, I think we're good. So switch back over to this microphone. I can turn this one off. So I picked up the Rodecaster Duo, and so this will have the wireless receiver for the transmitter, and then I can use the XLR cable for this microphone to go into the mixer as well. So that'll give me a better like audio mix. And then the software and stuff, I'll be able to like have better control, I think, over audio mix for music and things like that using the Rode software there. I think I pretty much got all the other painting that I wanted to do, at least for now. At least for now, I think. I mean, there's always stuff that I could do, but I think for now that'll be good. What else did I miss? We came back, giveaway happened. I went, you should have just given it to me. Oh yeah, that's right. And then you ended up getting it anyway. And then yeah, the big Spider Gwen. We sold the Spider Gwen. I do want to make another one because I really like that Spider Gwen. And then the helmet company where I get the helmet designs, they actually came out with a Spider Gwen. So that's up on the catalog as well. If you do ! helmets, you'll see a list of that. And then one of the new ones that I've posted up this week is the Ghost Spider Gwen, and it's a whole hood, and the hood clips on with magnets, and then there's a mask that clips on with an extra piece around the back with magnets as well. That one will be a lot of fun to print if I can do multicolor. So depending on the size of the hood, I'm probably going to have to do that one on the Voron, which means I'm going to have to get inside the hood to paint like the pink and then the blue mesh. I think the blue mesh 3D prints as its own separate thing. And so I may see if I can break that into pieces and do it on the bamboo so that comes out nice and clean. And I'm probably going to do that in a Polyterra so that I can sand it down nice and smooth, and then hopefully that'll just fit in, glue that in. We'll have to see how that's going to go. But I'm pretty excited to do the Spider Gwen. That one also has removable eyes as well, if I remember right. So yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. So we're giving away at least one cosplay helmet. So some recipient is going to get to pick a helmet, and then if you want just a sanded and primed version, that's what you're going to get. If you want me to finish and like do the full like post processing and painting and stuff like that, we'll talk about like kind of upcharges on that. But the helmet itself will be free. So I've got different price points for the helmets. If you literally want me to take it off the printer, take off the support material, and put it in a box, that's like the minimum price. If you want it at least a little bit cleaned up and a little bit sanded and like one coat of primer, that's the next price. And then the next one is like filler and like another coat of primer and also sanded down, and that's what we're going to give away for the giveaway. And so it'll basically be the same stage that this helmet is in right now, where I need to go back in. I need to sand the second coat of primer that's on there, and then that one's ready for final paint. And that's basically what I'm going to be giving away. So again, if you want me to get in and like actually paint the thing, like full paint, and if you want like weathering or aging or any kind of technique like that on it, that'll be additional costs. So yeah, and if you're international, then we'll talk about international shipping. My hope is that I can cover the shipping for everything domestic, and that everything international, that we can like figure out how much it's going to cost to ship, especially these big things, and work out something there as far as shipping goes. So. Cool. Well, that felt like pretty good progress. So we got the paint scheme selected for that resin dragon. So again, we're going to be doing kind of this fire theme on that dragon. So we've got the base coat. I'm going to come in and I'll be able to do a little bit of the highlighting that we see here on the leg. We'll be able to get a little bit of this done. Can I zoom on this? Yeah. Now obviously the wings don't have these holes in them, but I am going to try to do kind of this flame kind of thing in the wing itself, not on the inside of the wing, because we primarily only see the outside of the wing. And then there are also little feet and claws at this point of the wing, not just the one little hook. There's actually like 3 little toes coming off the wing at that point. But we do have like this sort of structure of the wing. So we can get in, like that's already dark color, so I can like mask that off and then like get in with the fire gradient, or I can just go back over and paint the black back over those supports once we get the fire color in there. And then because we don't see the chest of the dragon, I'm not going to be able to really paint this on the chest, and so I'm going to do this on the back instead. It's dry enough now that I can manage, or I can actually hold the thing. Because we see like this side of the dragon, because you really only see like this part of the dragon as it's wrapped around the building, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the fire down the spine, and we're going to kind of radiate it out from the spine, especially in that chest area. So where on the picture here you see it as kind of like abdominal muscles for days, like all the way down. I kind of want to mimic that a little bit, but on the back of the dragon instead. So I'm using this more as inspiration. The horns on this dragon are kind of a white color. I'm debating whether to leave the horns a dark color, because then I can, underneath the horn, I can kind of get up there with a glow and like add a little bit of that if the spine is going to be doing kind of that fire color. Or maybe that fire color is going to like really sort of start in the chest and like radiate up the neck and radiate down the back from there. So we don't have to do the entire tail all the way down. We don't have to do all the way up to the head. It's primarily going to be like, kind of the heart of the dragon is like where all that flame and fire is coming from. And then we can kind of like bring that down the wing from there. So I do want to get up in those, like in this part of the webbing, and get into the fire kind of look in the actual wing itself, but leave the structure of the wing kind of that dark color. The outside of the wing, I'll leave that dark color as well. And then I think the main body of the dragon, I'm going to leave alone. Because again, you're not going to see it when it's wrapped around the building anyway. You're not going to see it. I really like that darker color paint that we got on there. The resin, like being a dark resin, was really nice. The thing with resin is if you bonk it or scuff it on something, you end up with like this light white chalky sort of feel and sort of scarring on it. And so the nice thing about the paint is the paint covers up like any spot where I had like little bumps and bonks and stuff like that. And then once we get in with the paint and start painting in all the little detail and stuff like that, it's going to look really, really nice, especially with that primer, because the primer, again, it's kind of that flat paint, where the acrylics that we're going to come in, they're going to be more of a shiny paint, and so that's going to really like pop and stand out from the dragon itself. So I'm looking forward to painting that one up. That one's going to be a lot of fun. And then on the building, again, for the shingles, we all kind of said in chat, like doing the shingles in kind of a slate gray kind of color, or like a darker gray blue kind of color. I think that's what I'm going to go with for the shingles. It was kind of a toss-up between like a dark gray blue or a dark Merlot burgundy. But I think if we're doing fire on the dragon, having burgundy on the shingles might conflict a little bit. I can always get in here and try to figure out, okay, well, if the dragon goes exactly here, then, you know, I could maybe put a bit of glow of the fire on the shingles as well. Maybe. We'll see how that goes. I also need to figure out exactly where the dragon goes, because there's a spot here for one of the feet, and there's a spot here for one of the feet. So I need to figure out exactly how to orient the dragon to like make it fit on here, to figure out, okay, when the dragon is here, the glow is going to be here, and so I need to like get a little bit of the glow on this part and a little bit of glow over here, something like that, so it kind of looks like it's lining up. So yeah, so I'm gonna get in here with kind of that dark slate gray kind of color. I'll mix up some paint for that. I'm basically going to mix a little bit of gray primer, a couple of drops of black primer just to darken that up, and then we'll throw some dark blue in there as well. And then that'll give us that nice dark blue, sort of that deep slate gray blue sort of color. And I'll get in and I'm just going to do the top part of the shingle. I'm probably going to mask off the bottom of it just so we don't get any bleed. And I'm also going to mask off this top part up here. So we won't get any part of the bell tower up here with the blue, and we won't get anything underneath the shingles with the blue, and we're just going to hit the rest of this. So I'm going to get that masked off over the next couple of days, and we'll get that blue on there. That should be ready. I'll be ready for Sunday stream, maybe. We'll see. I like showing the kind of the incremental progress that I make on these as we go. And then for the Great Dragon, like I said, we got the burgundy blend out onto the wings. I don't think I'm going to lighten it up. I debated going in with a second coat and like putting a much brighter version on there, but I think I'm going to keep it as is. And then all of these stripes here that we see, I'm going to come in, like once I hit this with the lime green, it's going to be like that bright lime green yellow. I'm going to kind of blot that on with a little bit of black as well. And then these little bits here, I'm going to hit with that highlight color as well. So it won't be like, you won't see that texture in the Merlot. You'll see some of that other color kind of like drop down in there as well. I think it's going to come out really, really nice. The paint is still a little tacky, so I do need to be a little bit careful about grabbing it. Because I did put it on pretty heavy last night just to get it in there. But you can kind of, well, I don't know whether you'll be able to tell. You can't really tell on the camera here, but it's pretty blotchy. Well, you can kind of see on here. It's not like a thick coat of just the green. I did kind of make it blotchy over the gray primer on purpose, so that, you know, we'll have different colors kind of shining through, that when we do get in with that lime green and the cyan and the yellow and stuff like that, that some of these undertones are going to kind of come through as well. That's what I've had the most fun learning about painting, is what order to do the paint so that different colors kind of show through. Especially if I can do the yellow and the cyan color with the airbrush, then more of the green is going to come through. If I go in with a paintbrush, the paint goes on that much thicker and you don't see as much of the undertone come out of it. And so when I hit it with the lime blue or the lime green and the black on the structure of the wing, I do want to be careful about how thick I put it on there. So I may actually blot it on with a sponge, just so we get a little bit more of the texture, but also that it's not like super even color of paint, because I don't want it to be like an exact kind of thing. So if we go look at what that picture looks like, there's a lot of variation that's happening here in the kind of the structure of the wing. Like we get this lime green, and then we get all these little shadow areas, but then you can also see like a darker green kind of undertone in some parts, and that's kind of what I'm going to be aiming for here. Obviously down here on the body, we get more of that dark cyan color and more yellow as it gets closer to the tan belly. And so as we go up the side of the dragon, we'll have that happening. Now these scales kind of ended up with like a black undertone and then hitting it with highlight with the yellow. This dragon doesn't really have scales that are defined that well or that clearly. You can see some detail of scales, but not quite to the amount of detail that we see on this. Now we do see this amount of scale detail on the feet of the dragon, and so I can certainly come in and I can do the feet in these colors, although I made the feet kind of that green color as well, so I'll just hit that with a bit of tan over top, and so we'll still get kind of that green undertone coming through, and then I can come back in with a black highlight and kind of get in the shadow areas and stuff like that, and that'll be more of a wash over it as well, so you get kind of that dirt, grimy kind of look, getting in all the little nooks and crannies and stuff like that. So should be pretty fun. I was missing some chat about RepRap festivals here. Climate controlled room, uncontrolled, yeah. I think Riker wants to come say hi to everybody. You want to come say hi to everybody? For those that don't know, this is Riker. He's my puppers. Yes, you are. You're my puppers. He's a 3.5-year-old British lab. And you're about 100 pounds. You are. You're a big chonker of a pupper. Yes, you are. You're a big old chonker because I give you too many cookies. Yeah, you're a big chonker because I give you too many cookies. Cool. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. To be honest, I was up kind of late working on the dragon. I had problems falling asleep last night, so I stayed up painting instead. But I'm going to... I need to like clean off my desk. My desk is kind of a mess right now. So yeah, let's go see who else is hanging out tonight. And then we'll go find a raid target. If anybody has suggestions for a raid target, please do let me know. We gave away a spool of filament last Saturday. I have been authorized by Polymaker to give away one spool a week. And normally I would have done that tonight on the creative stream. We didn't have too many people hanging out though. So I think I may reserve that for when we have like 20 to 25 people in chat or 20 to 25 people in the giveaway. I think then I'll switch that over to a spool of filament. Let's see, who can we go bug? GBAV is online. We got software. Pez Liz is online. How long has been? I think Liz has been streaming as long as me. And Liz is also 2 hours ahead of me. What's Liz up to? Oh, Liz has a whole range of people on there. Yeah, I think we'll go raid over there. So do me a favor. I'm gonna go grab a raid message for us here. Let's go raid over to Pezla's channel and say hi to everybody. She's got a whole bunch of people in a chat. No, let's do a different one. That joke is good, but it's not as good. Let's grab this one. My dad told me once I put my shoes on the wrong feet. I tried to explain they were the only feet I had. All right, do me a favor, grab that message. We're going to go right over to Pezliz. And please share that in chat with Pezliz. And we'll catch everybody over there. I may stream Saturday night. We'll see. We'll see if we can get enough people around. Maybe I'll do a Polymaker spool giveaway or something on Saturday. Yeah, it is followers only over there. So if you don't follow Pezliz, you will need to follow to paste in that chat message. But at a minimum, I'll see you all Sunday afternoon. But I may stream Saturday night as well. So we'll catch you all on the next one. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Cheers.